Hey everybody, happy Saturday. Welcome to Properly Partnered. I'm Dr. Greg Pizzi, psychologist, relationship therapist, and board certified sex therapist. I help single gay men go from chronically single and alone to properly partnered in authentic quality relationships by going inward, taking a look at ourselves, unblocking ourselves from the chronically single behaviors that keep us isolated alone so that we can know what we truly want and deserve and go out and get it through new, updated, modern tools for dating in today's technological world. There, that was a lot, but I got it out. Happy Saturday. It is Saturday, May 10th. It's 5:31 p.m. Central European Time. I am located in Madrid, Spain, and greetings to all of you, and I wish you all a wonderful weekend. The topic for today's live stream is the difference between being um, intentional versus just wanting or desiring something. Because it's not enough to want and desire to have a partner, right? It just saying that you want a partner, that you are ready for a partner, that you'd like to have a relationship. As much as we may want it and desire it, it's important to have the desire, but it's not enough. In order to accomplish and manifest something and really create it in our lives, the desire has to also be accompanied and followed up with intention. We're going to talk today about exactly what that means, the difference between desire and intention. And I talked about it in my blog post from earlier this week. And I'll be sharing the link with you guys below if you want to go check out the blog. But that's the topic for this week. We'll be getting to that in a moment. Also, I'm very excited to talk to you guys now that I'm here in Madrid, in the capital of beautiful and amazing Spain, a place that I've dreamed to live in throughout most of my life. I had the opportunity this week to visit the Real Academia Española, which is the Royal Spanish Academy or the Academy of the Spanish Language. It's basically the seat, the headquarters, the center hub of the Spanish language. That's where they sit down and decide what words are allowed, what's not allowed, how the grammar is supposed to be used, how the spelling is, what's allowed, what's not permitted, what's vulgar, what's formal, and all of the beautiful nuances that create this amazing romance language are discussed and documented, and it's where all the scholars and the professionals that are related to the literary development of this amazing language have sat down for, I guess, centuries now, and make these decisions. So while language is automatically of the people, it's the usage that creates language. I always found it fascinating that there's an official seat, there's an office where decisions are made to allow or disallow certain things within the language. And I have always been absolutely uh, fascinated and flabbergasted by the Spanish language. So you can imagine what it was like for me to go into this place. I practically had goosebumps as I was walking in, even though I was wearing shorts and a t shirt because I had just come from someplace else. I nonetheless went in and had a great time. So I'm going to tell you about that because it's super interesting and it relates to properly partnered. So don't get lost on that. I'm looking forward to having you guys share your questions and comments here while you're watching this video. Many of you are probably looking at it on on a um, on a replay, which is absolutely fine. You're probably looking at it on the replay, so but you can still leave your comments, ask me your questions, and I will take care of it and respond to everybody who leaves something in here in the group in the chat. So please do that and share your experiences. So what I want to tell you about being at the Real Academia Española is that there was an exhibition that opened it up to the public, which is why I was able to go in, And it was about the Machado brothers, Antonio and Pedro Machado, who were brothers. And it talks about their life. They were born and raised in Sevilla, Seville, and migrated, lived in different parts of Spain, but eventually, moved, not migrated, but moved, relocated to Madrid. And I believe both of them sat on the Real Academia Española and were admitted to become and part of this academy. And the poetry is of Antonio Machado. His poetry is absolutely beautiful. They featured parts of their lives, his life, his wife, I believe it was Antonio's wife, died early and suddenly. She was 18 years old. So you can imagine the poetry talks about the pain and the loss and the beauty of that relationship and love he had for her. And it's all over the walls of this beautiful building. And I have pictures of it that I'm going to post here as well so you guys can see this gorgeous place. But it was like a museum, like a major library. And, this exhibition was going on. Well, after reading several of his sonnets, and he had this beautiful style of sharing and writing about his feelings that was melancholic but very beautiful and visual. His style is so gorgeous that afterwards, when you're leaving the exhibition, there was a stand. And it was just a little tiny box. It was a wooden box, but it looked like, reminded me of those old-fashioned phones that would be like a wooden box with the little horn sticking out that was a microphone, the ones that you would talk into, right? But it was just a box with the microphone. There was nothing to listen to. So what it was what did they call it? It was called La Máquina de Trovar, and it was a prediction that Antonio Machado had made in the 1800s, in the late 1800s when he lived, being a poet in Spain. He was getting jaded about the way that literature was going. And he said that nowadays, imagine, back in the late 1870s, his idea of literature was already getting distorted. It was already being lost on the modern society. He said nowadays nobody appreciates literature like they used to. Poetry isn't understood or appreciated. These new modern kids, they just don't get it, and things like that. To the point that he said, I predict that one day poets are going to become obsolete. We're just going to have a machine that people can just speak their thoughts into, and it's going to pop out a poem. There's going to be no need for us artists anymore. Can you imagine? Well, sure enough, here we are, 2025, and we have artificial intelligence, right? So the exhibit was basically a mixture of his history, his art, and the prediction that he made. And they took AI and created this little Máquina de Trovar that he had fantasized about and visualized and predicted in his mind, although back then there was no way for it to actually be invented. But they took his thought, his visualization of it, and actually made it. So the way it worked was you could go up to this little machine, and you press a button and you speak into it. You speak for 10 seconds and you tell them what your thoughts are. And sure enough, guys, it pops out a little slip of paper with the poem on it of whatever you just say. It turns it into a poem and spits it out for you. So what did I do? I was putting all kinds of stuff in there, and there was nobody behind me on the line, so I just kept going. I just kept pressing the button and speaking, pressing the button, and I was just getting all these little papers coming out. I have them all over the place. And it occurred to me, I'm going to ask for a poem about properly partnered. So sure enough, I turned it on and I said something, and this was in Spanish, but the translation of what I said was, I said, Um, create a poem for me about men who are um, longing for love and connection in a difficult world and struggling with loneliness and not wanting to give up, and yet feeling that they want to have their dreams for connection and authentic partnership realized, yet at times feeling lost and not knowing how to go about it, yet being strong and not wanting to give up. That's what I put in there. And sure enough, I want to share with you guys the poem that it came out with and gave to me. First, I'm going to read it in Spanish because it's beautiful. And then I'm going to share with you guys the English version of the poem. So, the Spanish part goes, it's not that long. Distinto me he sentido en este suelo, armando entre los márgenes del día, mas sé que en mí la humana melodía resuena igual, buscando su consuelo. Amar y ser amado, ese es mi anhelo, aunque el silencio pese y desconfía, aunque la soledad con mano fría me roce con su sombra desde el cielo. Mas no me rindo, el tiempo me ha forjado con lágrimas, con fuego y con ternura, y aquí estoy, corazón ya desgastado. Pido ayuda, sostén, voz que murmura, confía aún que el alma ha despertado y el nombre del amor es la aventura. And in English, this is what it is. It's as close as I could get it to be because I had to kind of work it through so it sounded good. But here we go. This is the poem of Properly Partnered, created by the late Antonio Machado, poet from the late 1800s, regarding the path of the men in Properly Partnered. As men love men, we've walked a quiet road. Outside the lines, the world would carve in stone. We've carried love in silence, bore the load, and often faced the night, unheard, alone. Yet still we seek what all hearts seek to find, a touch, a voice, a soul that mirrors ours. Though fear and doubt may linger in the mind, our hope endures through all the darkest hours. The years have shaped us not to turn away, but to embrace the truth we've come to own. Through trials made for us, we found a way to stand with open hearts, though once unknown. So here we are, unguarded once again, still trusting in the love of men for men. I'd love to hear what you guys think about my little co-creation here with the late Pedro Machado of Spain and this beautiful little sonnet that I created for you guys. I'm going to post it in the group as well. Please feel free to let me know your thoughts about this, and also if you identify with the with the poem, with the sonnet as well. So, all right, guys, let's move on now. That's enough about my little Spanish experience for the week. And we're going to move now into the topic of desire versus intention in creating an authentic relationship. All right. So, I hear way too often from the men who come into Properly Partnered that all the time, I want a relationship. I am ready to have the man of my dreams. I'm ready for a partner of my own. I am ready. I am totally on board. Yet I ask them, okay, so what have you been doing? How's that going? How's that going for you? And the responses I get are something almost, well, not always, but a lot of the time, way too much of the time, concerningly too much of the time, are, oh, well, what do you mean? What am I doing? And I'm like, well, what are you doing to enable and facilitate your partner being there for you in your life? How's that going to happen? Like, oh, I don't know. I don't know. It's just going to happen the day when it's time. When it's time, it's going to happen. And I get concerned, and I'm asking, of course I'll follow up, and I'll be like, well, okay, but how are you meeting men? Oh, well, I don't get out much. Or, oh no, you can't meet men nowadays. It's nobody wants a relationship. Or, um, I've been meeting guys, but everybody has a partner. Or, um, no, I haven't really thought about it that much. I get that as well. And of course, you're coming to me for help. I'm going to give you feedback and I'm going to offer you my thoughts. And I'll tell you right now, for those of you that are really serious about wanting to have a partner in your life, it's not something that is just going to happen. We have to be in action. We have to be doing something anytime in life that we get a result, right? Something has to, there's a reaction for every action. For everything we do, there's a consequence. So what are you putting in place in order to have that final result? And the bottom line is that saying you want a partner and that you're ready to have a relationship does not make a relationship. Desire keeps you longing for that relationship. It keeps you in this state of not having. Intention, that's what really moves you forward. So saying that you have desire or want a relationship is just more of the same. It's passive. It's fantasy. It doesn't change anything. So by having intention, that's where you turn that desire, that want, into actions that can actually bring it about in your life. So, what are you doing to prepare to have a man come into your life? We meet men all the time, right? I mean, as long as you're not hiding in your house or under a rock somewhere and you do live life, you do work, you do go to the gym, you do leave your house, you do chat online. Okay, there may be a flow of guys coming into your life, but you're not going to meet a partner just because you're talking to people. You have to have a plan. You have to know, are you presenting yourself in a way that shows you as being available? Are you also able to recognize someone who's available as well? What are you looking for? And unless you have a really good idea, either consciously or unconsciously, of what you're looking for, it's not likely to just happen. It can. It can happen. It can happen with your eyes closed. It can happen while you're half asleep. But the bottom line is it's not likely to. What makes it more likely to happen, and especially more likely to happen with someone that's right for you, is by you putting your intentions to work. So if you want a partner who's a right match for you, who shares your values, that you can actually be yourself with, then you need to be intentional about it. Um, it's got to feel good. You've got to stop complaining and you've got to start taking ownership for the results that you're having in your life. That's when your energy is going to shift. You stop doing things on autopilot and you actually start having more of what you want. So, part of being intentional is not to be thinking so much about, does this guy like me? Is someone going to want me? And shift that to, well, what am I looking for? Do I know someone that I could build something with? Is this someone that I want to get to know more? So wanting love doesn't mean you're ready for it, and it certainly doesn't make it happen. Um, that's why you got to shift from fantasy to action. Let me know if you have any questions about this, if you have experience on this, because I'm going to answer everybody who writes in the comments, and we're going to help you. We're going to help you get out of your being stuck, if you're being stuck, so that you're not just sitting around wanting, and you can actually do something about it. So, what does it mean to be intentional? It means evaluating your habits, looking inward at what you've been doing, What are you doing? Is what you're doing making it possible for you to meet somebody new that you can build something authentic with? Um, do you present yourself in a positive way to people? Do you attract good energy? Or are you complaining? Or are you pushing people away through your negative energy and frustration? Do you take care of yourself? Are you healthy? Do you have a good attitude about life and contributing to society and culture? Do you have interesting hobbies and things that you do? Because if these things are lacking, then no quality person is going to A, notice you, or B, be willing to connect with you if they do meet you, because you just don't have the things that a person will be looking for. Similar to, you wouldn't be interested in somebody that doesn't have those interesting things. So it also means not only looking inward and evaluating your habits, but being open and willing to change those habits. Letting go of dynamics that drain you. S- Stopping connections and conversations with men that don't bring you what you want. In order to make room for the partner you do want, it's absolutely imperative to not be entertaining and getting your energy wrapped up in people who are not going to be your partner. That's absolutely necessary. You can't be chatting with losers and getting your attention and your energy sucked by people who are unproductive and negative and just focused on one thing and not bringing you what you want. You will not be able to allow a partner in if your mind is focused on those other things. So you got to get rid of those. Like I said earlier, taking care of your emotional, physical, and sexual self. Keeping yourself healthy, happy, whole, balanced, and knowing how to communicate. Learning the tools and techniques of being able to authentically present yourself online and offline with clarity and confidence. Dating like a man who really expects people to show up in a true loving way because you are already living the kind of life that can hold it. If you don't have the life going for yourself that can actually maintain and carry a healthy relationship, no relationship's going to come to you. It's just not going to happen. That's the energy, the unconscious reality of men who are quality and available will not even notice you. They'll just pass you right by unless you are exuding and exhibiting that you have what it takes to carry an authentic, real partnership. So it's not about making sure that somebody likes you or that you do the things that are going to get attention. This is all about you being your true version of yourself. Your future partner doesn't want a perfect man. He wants a self-aware one, somebody that can look inward, be aware of what's going on, and talk about things so you can build something together. That is a magnetic gift. That's why I treat that's why I encourage my clients to go inward first. Take a look at what's going on inside you that's blocking you from intimacy. So, guys, desire is saying, I want a partner. Intention is, I am becoming the man who has authentic connections and relationships. That's the mind shift I want to help you guys get to. Let me know if you have any questions. What can I clarify? How can I help you implement this in your life? If you'd like to talk further in more detail with me about your specific blocks, about your specific goals, and how we can get you shifted from desire to intention and actual relationship, reach out to me. Message me below, email me. Let's set up a call to talk about your situation so that you too can have the love and authentic partnership that you want and deserve. Guys, happy Saturday. Um, Reach out to me and let me know how you guys are doing. Share your experiences, your frustrations, and your progress in the group. A lot of guys in here in Properly Partnered have been meeting really nice men. Um, let's see your successes. Post your pics. In my private VIP mentorship program, the men who really put themselves in and do the work meet quality men and are having really authentic, loving relationships, meeting the partners that they've longed for years and years and years, simply by being open to making changes and doing the work required. All right, guys, thank you again for joining. Have a nice weekend, and I'll see you soon. Bye.